let's see here. It would be interesting to hear both of your insights on the pen hobby market and where you each see potential growth for your companies. Like, would Brian consider doing dip pens? I know you've mentioned a few thoughts on growth before. It would just be interesting to hear.
You know, that actually kind of segues me from my comment earlier when I said someday I'll probably do a video blog about us growing, because, or whether or not we would take on more, and you know, we're kind of happy with the way things are. So right now we have 4 employees. There's 4 of us full-time, and there's 2 that come every so often part-time. And we're at a crossroads right now where we want to decide, do we want to keep growing? And I think the answer is, and not to get too philosophical, but we don't need to make a little more money or even a lot more money to be happier. You know what I mean? And the bottom line is that we are like very, very happy the way things are. We love the business, we love our customers, we like innovating new designs and new filling systems. And if we got into a position to where, like, I'm really confident that within 2 years we could probably triple the machines that we have running and probably triple the employees. But you know what? I'm afraid that then I would no longer be a pen maker. I would be a manager of people, and my hands wouldn't be in the products. And right now, every pen that leaves our facility, the final QC, and most of the manufacturing as well, is done by my wife, who's sitting over here, by the way. She didn't want to be on camera. Maybe we'll chase her over here in a little bit. My wife or myself, we have the final QC on every pen that goes out, be it production line, be it signature line. You know, any pen that comes out of Edison is us doing the final test, the final QC, checking the nib, make sure that everything is perfect. If we keep growing, then I don't know that I would still retain that. Now, of course, we could hire great people to do it, but you know what? I kind of like the way things are. So the plan for us right now is probably to kind of stay where we are. If people don't mind waiting 8, 9, maybe 12 weeks sometimes for a custom pen, we don't mind either. And so far, we don't get a lot of pushback on our long wait, you know? So I think that answered the question. Let me go back and make sure that I...
think so, yeah. It was just kind of a general question.
Question about growth for the companies.
Because because for you it's not just like that kind of stuff, but you would need a bigger facility. So you're talking about moving locations and all kind of, and you know, we've talked about that a little bit because we have gone through that. Rachel and I did. You know, ours is a little different because we're not in manufacturing nearly as heavily. So ours is a very different. But we went through that. We started out with the business in our house, and then we took it off site to a facility, and now we've expanded to what you're seeing here now.
Yeah.
I can very much attest to the fact that when you have, you know, upwards of 30 people and a facility that's this large, a lot of your time is spent doing things other than what you started out doing.
Well, I will say this though, my fear of growth, of hiring a lot more and getting more machines, is losing the feeling of happiness every day when I go in. You know what I mean? I don't think you've lost that though. I can tell, you know, just visiting you and talking to you, you've managed to keep that. So I'm going to pick his brain if we do decide to grow more as to how he's managed to do that. So kudos to you, absolutely.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah. But I think ultimately, I mean, most anybody can relate to this, whether you're in the pen business or whatever it is that you do. It's really a matter of what makes you happy.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
What are your goals, and are you achieving that? Whether you're small or huge, are you happy?
And we are, and it ain't broke, so maybe we're not going to mess with it.
But you're still a young guy, you know. You still not quite as young as me.
He teases me all the time. I'm 42, and you're what, like 22, I think.
31.
Oh wow! Yeah.
My son is going into kindergarten this year, so I've got some notches on my belt. But it was funnier. You know, what was it like last year or 2 years ago when you hit your 40s and I was still in my 20s? That was the best.
No.
I really enjoyed that.
That was depressing for me.
But to be fair, though, we look almost about the same age.
You think so?
I've aged a bit. My eyes are bagging, and
I'm starting to get a little gray on the sides.
Seriously,
like I just got a haircut, and if you look at, I'm not joking. If you look at the video blog that we did before the DC Pen Show, you'll see my gray because my wife had not cut my hair yet. And then on the Periscope session, it's like the Periscope session published before the YouTube video, of course. So I've got extremely short hair in the Periscope session, and then I've got long hair, and not long, but you know, totally different. So anyways, My point is, though, the gray hair shows if I let it grow, so I'm always telling my wife to cut my hair, you know, I want...
There you go. And see, I'm like waiting for the grays to come in. I'm excited about that. Because my dad went gray really, really young. So he was like silver fox, like had full head of white hair, you know, basically ever since I was a kid.
The only thing that bugs me though is you'll see that like every so often there's one that's just like this wiry, nasty renegade that just sticks right out. And it's like, oh man, I gotta get rid of that one.
As long as it's coming out of your head, not your ears, then you're okay, right?
That's another story. That's another problem. Don't worry, man. That'll happen too.
Oh my goodness. That's kind of cool. I just realized like your last name is Gray, so when you go Gray, maybe you can do something with that.
Yeah, there we go.
Gray or whatever. I don't know. So okay, that very very long answer. Oh well, I didn't even address my part, but basically, you know, I'm obviously been growing a lot, and I'm, you know, up for more growth. I'm not pursuing it aggressively. Like for us, it's kind of been like you guys. You haven't like aggressively pursued growth as the end goal. Like you didn't start turning pens in your garage saying, oh yeah, like with the wood pens back in the day. You didn't be like, oh yeah, this is totally going to be like my full-time gig that I could pass on to my kids one day. Like,
no, actually that, I mean, this is totally not a different topic, but getting away from the questions. When I started making pens, it was just for fun, and it was just a lathe in my garage. And then I started making some pens, and I put them up on the forums, and people were like, I'd buy that, I'd buy that, I'd buy that. And then right about the time that pens were starting to kind of show a little bit of income is when I went through the third layoff in 3 years with my old job when I did pharmaceutical sales. And even when I lost the job the third time, what I did basically is I just went into the garage and I was making pens just to stay off of unemployment. I never really thought it would be a living. And the next thing it's like, Andrea, I sold another one. And it's like, I sold another one. And it's like, you know what? We're going to pay our mortgage this month. And we're going to pay our bills this month. You know, the first 4 or 5 months were a struggle. But, you know, I just stopped interviewing, which was wonderful. I mean, I never, ever thought this would be a full-time business with employees, with, you know, distributors, with retailers. You know, it was never something that I thought would happen. If you would have, if you would have said to me 8 years ago, you know, this is where you'd be, I'd be like, oh come on, I'm still gonna have that crappy drug job. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Still be pushing drugs out there.
Yeah. Well,
now you're just pushing pens, which is basically like drugs to fountain pen people, but
that's true. Yeah, addictive.
Yeah, a little safer at least. I would like.
I would think so. Yeah.
But yeah, that's cool. Yeah. So I mean, similar kind of thing. Like we got such a similar backstory. We could go on for hours just talking about this. But yeah, it's the same kind of thing. We had a much more like intentional, like do or die kind of situation because, you know, Rachel, it was geared around our son. So like our son was born, Rachel went on maternity leave from her company and was like, I can't go back. And I was like, okay, we don't have income to pay our mortgage. We've got this many months to try to make it work. We got to go all in, do or die. And then by this time, we got to figure something else out if this doesn't work.
I will say this though. After doing the interviews, like when I lost the job and when I was trying to get back into it, I quickly realized it was more do or die than what I thought because I was overqualified. My salary that I had before was much larger than what they really wanted to pay then, and I would have taken a pay cut. But I realized quickly that look, I was in that industry for 14 years, and I succeeded pretty well in it. And trying to get back into it with that much experience when they're usually hiring people out of college, it became do or die kind of quick. And I realized that fast. Thank goodness it was like, hey, we're paying the bills right around the time that I realized this is probably the way I better go.
Nice.
You know, because I don't know that I'm getting back into that industry. Yeah.
So there you go. If you get laid off, you should start your own pen company.
Pen company.
Right?
Yep.
100% success rate.